Hey folks, hey, little Johnny's still here. You're just here with one of your buddies. I didn't meet this one here. Tricky Dicky. Oh. Well, you guys stay quiet and you'll be able to stay here. Hey, off we go. This is, well, it's been a few weeks in the making. You could say a few months, probably more than a few weeks. I had endeavored into my working career. Started young at 5 years old, digging holes, but things evolved with time, eh? Stopped digging hole and I started a real work career. Ended up, first we'll deal with education. This kid don't got too much education. I got a grade 10. That's it. So I'm not too proud of that one because, but I tell you where I went wrong, okay? And this is for all the younger people in here, okay? You want to educate yourself or you want an education to get a good job? I'm not the guy to follow, okay? Me, a car was more important than my education. Got my first car at 14 years old, and once I got the car, it was downhill from there. Use a bus, do something, but don't get a car, because as soon as you get a car, then first thing you know, your education goes for a ride, because, well, it's a whole different world. Like once you get a vehicle, you're able to go where you want to go, when you want to go, and it seems like studying and education falls in the in the last year. I went for grade 11, but I never finished. Had too many things important to do than going to school. Anyways, I shouldn't laugh about it because it's going to give a bad example to the kids. Anyways, okay, so had my grade 10. So, and in those days, you couldn't even get in the trades like plumbing or air conditioning or electricity. You couldn't get into nothing. No trade at all with the grade 10. But I was gonna say but it wasn't only I. A few people I know were lucky, and we had an uncle that was president of a big house building company here in Ottawa, and he asked me, hey, I was working for the company he was working for, but I was just delivering kitchen cabinets and doors, like house doors and trim and hardwood floors, like in a truck every day, eh? And that was a summer job, and then come autumn, I just stayed on because I didn't feel like going to school anymore, and I needed money to buy gas for my car. See where you go, where I'm going with this? So, he says to me, he says, you're not going to stay here. I said, what do you mean? Well, he says, it's all your life you're going to deliver cabinets and he says, no, he says, I'll talk to somebody. He says, well, what do you want to get into anyways? He says, you want to be an auto mechanic? So I started auto mechanic. They had a garage there, and it was a dirty job. And it was in the, well, winter time. When a car was up on the hoist, it'd be pissing water all over you. And it wasn't, I said, I'm not going to do this all my life, right? So he says to me, he says, you want to get in electricity? Electricity, hey, that sounds like a cushy job, eh? So yeah, I'll do that. So he spoke to, I guess, a company that was doing the electricity in the houses that they were building, and I got a job. So one thing I did though, as soon as I got in that trade, I enrolled myself into as many courses that they were giving on and different, like electricity, motor controls, basic electrical wiring for houses. Well, at the end, okay, first of all, because I only had my grade 10, I had to do 5-year apprenticeship. But during these 5 years of apprenticeship, I managed to take all the courses that were available in my area on electricity, like from motor control to everything, name it, I took it, eh? And but I was working in the housing, eh? Like what a monotonous job. Like you're wiring plugs and switches, and you're putting them on and putting fixtures in. It's the same job day in, day out. It's yeah, well, it's not your better electrical job. It doesn't have the diversity of doing something else, eh? So basically what happened is, at the beginning I learned the basics of the job, but eventually I was lucky, and I'll tell you what happened is that how did it go again? Oh, yeah, I wasn't working in housing. I forgot this part, but it just come to mind. I was foreman for them on high rise, eh? And I did that for maybe 5-6 years, and eventually I must have worked around 20 years, maybe at least 15 anyways, years for this company. And so eventually they got slow on high rise work, and I had done 3 or 4 years with a guy on. There was one guy working on commercial for this company, and I had worked with him as an apprentice, so I had a little bit of background on commercial. So come slow, eh? So they had this job, eh? It was a fire job. I don't know. Not interesting at all. Very dirty, as a matter of fact, eh? And I said, "That's all you got?" He says, "Yeah, that's all we have right now." He says, "It's just to keep you busy until we get something else." Well, I said, "I think you better lay me off." Probably very independent, ain't the way? I said, "Lay me off." I says, "I'll find something else." And then I put my name at the union, and then they got a big job just on the Quebec side, and they had about maybe 130 guys, electricians, working on this job. It's a pulp and paper mill, and they were redoing a machine. So what I did was I got hired for that job, and I got on, and I was one of the latter guys to leave from there, but with a lot of experience. That lasted about 8 months, that job, and had the experience in industrial after that. Well, see, all of that had to do with the schooling that I had, all those courses. Well, then I got to apply some of the courses and the work that I was doing on this industrial job. So after this company got to know me, so they got another big job, and I got hired on, and I stayed for another 6 months, and then the third time they hired me, well, I stayed on. And I stayed on with them till the day I retired, which, maybe 40 years. I'm even what they call an old-timer for this company. It's the name of the company is very reputable and company, as far as I'm concerned anyways. It's Black & McDonald from Toronto, and they take care of their people, and you're not just a number. For me, it's very important, and I worked hard, and I was foreman for them for over 30 years, foreman for other companies prior to that, but I run different sized jobs, big ones, small ones, good ones, bad ones. But it was a very diverse, like always doing something different. Like in the industrial part, like I did jobs in steel mills, paper mills. I worked for a company and did jobs at Albright and Wilson. They're anyways, it's more a chemical thing, like the what do you call that? The stuff you put in the water in the pools there. Well, they make that, and they make a lot of other good stuff. But the way they do this is they have a. I'm not gonna get into details. It's just a different technology. I worked in paper mills, but I worked also in sawmills. Big sawmills. Different technology of the sawmills. I've seen sawmills there, steam sawmills with a blade about, it was at least 6, maybe 8 inches, I don't remember. Had teeth on both sides, so the log would cut going down and it would cut coming up, and then they cut chunks like if they wanted we're just endeavoring into this. And I got cut like 10 inches wide, and it'd throw it sideways, and then it'd send it on the conveyor down to the other end, and it'd go through, they call that gang saws. There's a whole bunch of saws, and there was a guy operating that. So he'd run a 2 or 1 3/4 inch wide by 10 inch. A bunch of 2x10s came out of the log that just come out of the big sawmill. So the big sawmill didn't go up and down, it just squared off the blocks and then send them down to the resaw. That's just jewels of knowledge, eh? In my younger days, I worked with line crews. I did substations, like hydro substations, but more or less private, like for industry substations, maintenance, shutdowns. We worked at Amoco. They were making carpet backing out of plastic, recycled plastic. Then I won't tell you all the stories. Maybe that'll be one for another day. But anyways, so I got 1,000 stories, but it's just like this would make this too long. But what I'm trying to get to is I wasn't in a rut where it ended up being always the same thing, day by day. And first of all, I was running my jobs. I had good engineers that I was working for, and they let me drive my own boat, let's say. And I always I got along with most of the people I worked with. There is some things that happen, like I don't like to work with somebody that's breathing down like my back. So a few on the way got told, like I told one time, just a little something here. One time, big shot engineer, for a company, and this was a mini shutdown, like it was just a 4-hour shutdown, and the important work was all to be done at the last hour. Okay, and I said I decided that I was going to do all these connections, but I was working almost my face on the ground, like on the bottom floor. It's a computer rack, and all the connections are right tight at the bottom. Some engineer had planned this, and anyway, so I'm doing the hookups, and this guy's breathing right down my back. So I turn around, I told him, I says, you got no, there's another word there, but I'll forget about it, paperwork to do. I says, you know what? I says, I'm going to stop everything until you go. I says, once you're gone, then I'm going to start over. I said, I don't work faster just because you're breathing down my back. I says, as a matter of fact, that's slowing me down. I'm not concentrating. So another guy told me, he says, you better go because this guy's going to punch you out. So he went, he came back 15 minutes after, and it was all hooked up. See, it's just like some people, as they get excited, they think their presence will help things. Nah, it doesn't help nothing. Okay, I don't know where I was going with this, but, oh yeah. Anyways, the whole thing, it's my work career. I really enjoyed my work career, but it's all about that I didn't do the same thing day after day. Like, you leave your home and you're going to the job and with your friggin' lunchbox, and you're doing the same thing you did last week, last month, last year, on and on. I'm not saying this. Probably not everybody's gonna be that lucky, but I was lucky. And I'll tell you just one thing, I had a set a date where I wanted to retire. It was at age 60. I figure, like, when I worked in the electrical career, I figure it was a dangerous, like, there's more danger than the guy that fixes the toilets, you know, things like that. So I figured, you know, if I was farming a lot of years in that amount of time, and nobody ever got hurt working for me, or I never got hurt or electrocuted or killed or nothing. So at 60, if I was able to get there, I'd count my blessings and just call it quits and leave it to somebody else, And I made it to 60, and the engineer I was working for, I got another job for you, you can't go right now. I said, no. I says, I told you 3 years ago I was going on such a date. I says, you're at the end. I says, if you wanted to train somebody, you should have done it before. So I didn't want to be a rude guy, but I was firm on the date that I'd set myself. It's no use to try to draw blood out of a stone or to take chances. Like a lot of people get hurt in the electrical field, and I was always lucky. A few little mishaps, but none very serious, and I was lucky for that. And I just said, that's it, you know, count my blessings and check out. Now I have, because of the amount of years I put in, it's not an outrageous pension, but it's a decent pension from the IBEW. Need something to a few guys in there. International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And it's not free, by the way, Like, every dollar that's put in the pension is a dollar they took off our salary, okay? So nobody gets a free ride, not in the private sector. In the government, oh, I don't want to get into that. I got my own ideas, and best not to discuss them in here, because they'll be very controversial, or I don't know. It's just spilling bad blood, and enough adversity in the life we live without causing more. So, okay, that's it. That's part of my working career, folks. I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. And you see all the little buddies in front there? They're just sitting there listening, So that's good, boys. Okay, folks, I salute you all. Thumbs up if you feel like it. Comments. I always try to give non-generic answers. And we'll see you in the next one.